What, Brett?
Nothing.
Too soon? Man.
Rolled right into it.
Man, if you were just listening to the establishing pricing episode, there was literally less than 5 seconds from when we ended that one to this one.
Yep.
You all right there, bud?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, here we are.
Brent's thinking about all that traffic on the way home. Just backing up more and more.
That's right. We're talking winter with Swinner. I'm Ken Bogeman, Zack Brent, Brent Reeder. Three of us were hanging out here. Man, I really started talking early. This is a long
I didn't
intro.
realize how long the song was.
It's about a minute.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
We need a 30-second jingle.
This is 41, 42, 43, 44 seconds.
44 seconds.
It's not that bad.
That's
It's almost exactly halfway between your 30-second jingle and my 1 minute jingle.
There you go. Poof. Wham.
Yep, there it is.
I wonder what that cost to make.
What, the jingle?
Yeah. Like, wear on the guitar strings, time.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Establishing costs.
Establishing a cost for the jingle.
I thought you were just asking me.
Right over his head.
Yeah, well, I was like, is he asking me when we paid
I was trying to
that?
tell him an airplane joke.
Oh, man. I see what you did there.
He wasn't ready at all.
Nope. There it is. Cessna or jet. Yeah, you don't like jets, do you?
I don't like anything in the air.
Airplanes are awesome.
I'll stay on the ground.
That's fine.
Did you see the new Red Bull video?
Which, the one of the dude with the motorcycle underneath the biplane?
Flying through the tunnel.
Oh, I've seen a Red Bull plane flying through a tunnel. I don't know if it's
He
new
starts
or not.
off in a tunnel, gets going. He's only flying a foot.
When he
off the
takes
ground.
off in the tunnel?
Yeah. Takes off mid-tunnel, flies through one, goes through an open air section, and then through another one that is very long.
Really?
He's flying fast, and it takes a while to get through.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we got to look at that.
Yeah, and video is the video, but it doesn't look like he's got more than 5 feet off each wing.
The Red Bull planes, I mean, it's a pretty tiny little plane, though. Just saying.
I got to think in a tunnel, it's more of a stable air current, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You can tell he is moving around inside this tunnel.
Yeah. I mean,
He's constantly picking up speed the further he goes. And yeah.
he's in ground effect the whole time. So, probably. I mean, I got to believe.
I don't
Man,
know. It might be a small plane, but it's a small tunnel.
that's true. Yeah. Well, do we want to go try to fly a plane through a tunnel sometime, fellas?
I don't think so.
No, you're not in for that?
Nope.
You know what?
Okay.
You get that plane, I'm in.
Okay, you talked Nicole into letting us buy a Red Bull plane, and we'll make it happen.
How much are those?
I don't know. I think it depends on what it is.
I don't think they're just going to sell you a Red Bull plane.
I'm pretty sure you could take any plane and paint Red Bull on the side of it, and it becomes a Red Bull
when
plane.
when is Red Bull going to step up their game and get a jet for their stunts? I'm sure they have a jet, but
Like a stunt jet?
yeah,
The heck?
Jets aren't as cool as piston-driven.
they could be.
I don't know, man.
You just got up the level of crazy.
Maybe. I know, 15-minute episodes. Zach just he just goes up and he looks at his wristwatch. He's like, man, come on, guys. We're running out of time.
I'm just saying,
Fine.
cost can be a long conversation.
Establishing
we just brought
cost.
a level of entertainment before you get into something boring.
Yep.
Establishing cost isn't boring. You're excited because you're learning new things about your business that you didn't know about before because you're just starting because you did landscape forever and you just bought a plow and you got a spreader now and you want to make some money.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Just show me the money, man. That's all I care.
No, you got to earn the money.
No, I just want to get to the end.
I just felt like throwing a wad of 20s at you.
20s? My God.
I don't have undies.
There's nothing I wouldn't do for a wad of 20s. Man, singles, I don't know.
That just felt like the perfect opportunity to just throw some money at somebody when he's like, just show me the money.
Hang on.
Bean them. Don't throw a quarter. That's going to
I
hurt.
was looking to see if anybody change. I don't.
I don't either.
It's fine. Okay. Yeah, so establishing costs. Okay, so I think that one of the things that I think is really interesting about snow is you'll hear and read things. These guys are like, I ain't coming out for less than $300 an hour and blah 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 blah.
See that
right?
a lot.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's somebody out there that is actually thinks they're billing $300 an hour because they got paid, $50 to plow a bank and they did it in 3 minutes. And yeah, that's like $7,000 an hour or whatever. I don't do math. That's fine. So, but at the end of the day, I think that when you're looking at what your costs are for snow, I think you've got your time and you've got your equipment, you've got your fuel, right? And really when it comes right down to it, there are so many things that you need to factor in there on that equipment. Okay, your plow is really only usable for pushing snow. I mean, there's not a lot of other use for a snowplow, right? So you've got to factor that in. Your spreader, there's other things you can do with a salt spreader. Maybe not a ton of things, but you got to look at that. Your truck, and most of the year, that truck is used for something else. So you can't take your whole truck cost in there. But then, I mean, your maintenance costs, insurance is a big deal, licensing, you've got your overall maintenance and all the equipment. I mean, adding all of that up and looking at all of that and figuring out how much of that do you attribute to snow and how much of that do you not attribute to snow kind of becomes a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Yep.
Yep.
Are we done?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. What did we miss? Come on, man. You were looking at your watch. Let's go.
What? I was just trying to... there.
Huh? Huh? You know what gets overlooked a lot?
Tires.
Taxes.
Taxes. Oh, man, taxes suck.
I mean, so you're going to have personal property tax on that vehicle. You're going to have your...
if you're in Missouri.
Well, depending on what state you're in. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but if you're not in Missouri, your fuel is going to be bigger. I mean, if they're not getting it on the personal property tax side, they're getting it somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's right. So so looking at all those costs and then figuring that out, if you can get a I don't want to say a metric, but if you can get a good handle on what doing snow actually really costs you, I think you'd be surprised. It's not as much as you'd think.
Did we even say material cost?
No, but you've got. I mean, so your material cost is the materials, the direct, and then indirect is going to be your salt dome. Where are you storing the material? The real estate that it takes up to have it there. I mean that there's cost to that on the ground. So I think you need to look at what are your direct costs first, which is going to be your expendables in a storm. So fuel, direct labor, direct material, things like that. I mean, I bought this to use on this storm.
Right.
Boom. Your indirect costs are what can get really high really fast, depending on how you look at that. But if you look at it even closer, you find that a lot of those indirect costs, you've already spent it for your main business.
Right.
So you may not need to look at that as a direct cost of snow if you have that direct cost attributed to your primary business.
You're also assuming, though, that guys are actually looking at a profit and loss statement. They're looking at where their expenses are. There's a lot of companies out there that they don't. They just look at how much money's in the bank account at the end of the season and go, yeah, that was good.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That's one way to play it. And,
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, really, I guess.
Nope. No, not at all. I mean, I think a lot of that comes into, what you want to do in terms of snow. How serious do you want to take that? I mean, if you've got a plow that's paid for and you've got a truck that's paid for, I mean, your indirect costs are for the most part all paid for. They don't cost you much. That overhead section is low. Well, why not get to the end of the year and look and say, man, I got a bunch of money in the bank. This was a good year. Yay.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that makes all kinds of sense to me. If your main business is something else, man, have at it. I think if you're really trying to develop your snow business, I think that's when you need to really take a closer look, because now you're talking about where are you going to put what investments. So, do you buy a truck, or do you buy a side-by-side, or do you buy a snow raider, or what are you going to buy that is going to generate the greatest return for you? And I think that is where that comes into play, is when you're trying to grow that business, you're trying to expand that business, or you're trying to, get to a point where you're not at the end of the year going, no, this was cool.
Yeah.
I did it. Stayed up late a couple nights, made a bunch of money.
Kept my crews working.
So
they made some money.
Yep. Well, and I think that's something too, is your crews, do they have a handle on what you've done for them?
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, if you're out there, if you're listening right now and it's cold, so there's no grass growing, and you're like, man, I wish my boss had something for me to do, because I don't have any work right now, blah, 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 blah. Your boss is maybe the guy that's bought that truck and bought that plow and bought the shovels and the inventory and all the money that's sitting there at the shop that's ready for you to come in and use to go make money when it snows. That's something worth thinking about. So, and they want you working, right?
100%, because that keeps your employees sticking around.
Yep.
Nobody's a fan of seasonal work. Nobody is. Really, they're not.
What Santa Claus would disagree.
Okay, that dude puts in one night of overtime a year. Get on my level.
He manages the rest of the year, though.
No, he doesn't.
What? Dude, he's got all those elves hanging around. Can you imagine the army of elves he's got to manage?
He's got one manager
What?
that's under him that runs the whole thing.
No way.
Yep.
Nope. He's constantly dealing with like sexual harassment suits from elves.
Wow.
Guarantee it. It's all over the place. Dude, try going to the North Pole. They're crazy up there.
I got a whole nother. No.
What?
Nah.
Dude, you go to Minnesota and people are nuts.
Oh, I know. I got family in Minnesota.
Do you?
Yep.
There you go.
Well, they used to be in Minnesota. I think they're in Florida now, which is worse.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Sorry. Brent, you look like you got something to say.
Yeah, I did. You guys kind of went sidetracked and I got lost.
Sorry.
Do you still have it?
Maybe. The one comment that drives me nuts the most is I just do this to keep the guys busy, and they don't really care about the money.
Yeah.
It's like, nobody's doing this just to get by. Nobody wants to come out and work all night for 2 or 3 days straight for just enough money to scrape by.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to come out living like a king, but I mean, come on, this is not an easy job. You're doing it on holidays when you should be sleeping, weekends, all the times you would rather be at home. And you ought to be reimbursed for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So are you saying companies should make it worth their employees' time a little bit?
Even if they're just keeping them busy, yes. Because maybe it's worth paying them just a little bit more to handle those environments.
100%.
Because those guys are probably having to buy extra gear or extra clothing to handle that cold environment that they normally wouldn't have to.
Yeah. Boots and gloves ain't cheap, man.
Which you can hear more about in season 5. What would that be? Topic 1, subtopic 3, keeping people warm.
You do not have subtopics.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to call it subtopics or episodes or what, but part 3 of topic 1 of this season. That was dumb. I should just shut up. I'm sorry.
That sounded very intellectual and lost half our crowd.
Yeah, I know.
The button don't work. You're on the wrong screen.
It's because I'm lame. I know, dude. I'm figuring it out. I got it. Look. All right, hang on. You ready? Here. Okay. There it is. I got it.
My sound effect was better.
It was. Nice job.
Nice.
It was all natural, too.
Oh, God.
What? What did you do?
What'd I do?
Huh? Your sound effect?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't hit a button. I actually whistled.
Oh. Okay.
When you said a sound effect was all natural, I didn't think of a whistle.
Me neither. Nope. You know what? We're going to have to play that back and listen for the all natural sound effect whistle.
Right. Give us a timestamp. Just email it to podcast@sprintergroup.com.
That's the one. Yep. Yeah. So figuring out your costs is important.
It is. And
It
then
is.
you can actually gauge how much you made, how much your guys made. Maybe you need to go up. Maybe not. Maybe you're comfortable.
Yep.
That being said, we've had some people come in and like, oh, I need $75 an hour for my sidewalk guys. I'm like,
Yeah.
sure you do, bud.
Let's be logical a little bit, too.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to give it to you, but let's
Right. Well, and the thing is we could probably pay you $75 an hour for your sidewalk guy if the only time they're on the clock is when they're actually shoveling.
That's true. Actually, yeah.
Okay, fine. When they get in their car, clock off to warm up, jump off the clock. That's fine.
Right.
If the only, and I think that's a really big misnomer is how that happens. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to pay you $300 an hour, but you only get to bill 30 minutes of a 4-hour trip out of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because hourly 101 is slow down and don't do anything.
Right.
So, got to work with me here.
Right. Yep.
Can't rush precision.
We're already here.
Sweet.
So establish your costs.
Establish those. Yeah.
Figure out what it is.
Yep.
It's going to be different for everybody. Figure out where your value is and where it isn't.
And then figure out if you want a snow raider or not.
Snow Raiders are awesome.
They're pretty sweet, man.
Because they're called Snow Raiders, for God's sakes. I mean, that's so cool.
On record, he just said Snow Raiders are awesome.
Yeah, which is a boss product.
Snow Raiders are awesome.
I'm pretty sure back at the beginning of this podcast series, you said the opposite.
No, it's those stupid Toro things. Lawnmowers with a plow on them. Those are kind of lame.
They
Snow
get
Raiders
the
are
job
awesome.
done.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
We'll
next
take that.
episode, Snow Raiders.
Versus lawnmowers.
And you guys are all wiggling your mics around, making all kinds of noise. God. It's like, here. We're a professional show. It's fine. We got this.
Sorry about your headphone users out there.
Man. They're like, what is going on? Oh, you know why? Because we're in the snow removal business, not the podcast business.
I don't know. Maybe that's going to change.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Wait. Shh. God, I love that.
You really do.
I do. It's a good sound. You know, here we are talking winter with Swinter. I'm Ken Bogeman, Zack Frame, Brent Reeder, the three amigos, if you will. We're here talking, about winter stuff. Now, you know what? Benny Mayer, the artist who did our jingle for us, has offered to make another jingle.
Oh.
That's right. He's like, man, it's been a minute.
We've had this one for 5 seasons.
No. We're on our 5th season. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're going to finish out the season with this jingle.
probably.
We're not going to...
Yeah.
The season's probably going to be over tomorrow.
The question is, do we... God. Shut up, Nicole. Quit laughing. Anyway. All right. So the question, do we need a new jingle? I mean, man, I know we just...
Is he bored and wants something to do?
I don't know. Maybe. Like, I don't even think he charges for it. He's just like, hey, man, I'll give you another jingle. You know what? You, the audience, tell us. Podcast at swintergroup.com. SWINTER group.com. If we need a new jingle. And we'll tell Benny. Anyway, but that's not even what we're going to talk about today. I mean, seriously, we just got sidetracked.
I already forgot what we're going to talk about.
I wrote it down. It's right here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about establishing pricing.
That's going to be a long conversation.
Well, maybe that might have to turn into more than one episode. Maybe there'll be different volumes. Here we are in volume 1 of establish. So, because the question, we were trying to figure what we're going to talk about before we begin recording.
Yeah.
Because we've got our act together. Because we're a professional podcast over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we were like, well, do you want to be the high price? Do you want to be the low price? Do you want to be the middle price? Like, where do you want to land? And Brent was like, well, I don't really care where I land. My price is my price. And we're like, man, that was genius.
And then he hit the red button on the box, and here we are.
I sure did. And then I started talking about Benny in our jingle.
Yeah.
So talk about that. I mean,
There we are.
what does that mean? Like, your price is your price and you don't care where you land. Talk about that.
If you're too focused on being the lowest price, you're going to talk yourself out of money.
That's fair.
You're going to come up with a price and go, well, I really need this. I can go lower. And you're going to be basically reverse auctioning the property against yourself.
Which is bad.
Yeah. I don't think anybody tries to be the highest price intentionally. I think that's a pretty tough one, unless you just really don't want the property.
Yeah, we've done that a time or two.
Yeah.
It's worked. We
And it
didn't get
works
hired.
100% of the time that works.
Yep.
But more often than not, we come up with a price and say, no, that's my price. And it's a take it or leave it scenario. It's not very often someone comes back, well, can you just come down a little?
Yeah.
Every time someone's done that and we've followed suit, it has not worked out well.
Right. Well, you know what I think is interesting too is, I mean, we get calls and folks ask us, hey, what would you charge for this? Because they're looking for some guidance on what that work is worth in the marketplace. And I think that gets a little dangerous because really what that work is worth in the marketplace is different from different companies. If your overhead's low and you're lean and you can charge $100 for it and come out of that with $75 in profit, well, that's fantastic. Whereas, another company that they're not quite as lean, they've got more overhead, and in order to get that same $75 in profit, they need to charge $200. Well, just because they're the higher price doesn't mean they're making more money.
Yeah.
Is what that boils down to. So, so where your price lands as compared to your competitors, I don't think makes a difference as much as it matters where that price lands in terms of your pricing metrics. Does that make sense? Which is what you were saying, right?
Yes, you just, drew it out a little longer.
Yeah. They get paid by the word, man.
You got to stretch it.
That's right. But yeah, so I mean, but I guess the question comes is at what point do you start, surveying the market and say, okay, well, if my overhead's low and if those other guys are getting $200 for the same job that I can charge $100 for, well, why don't I should raise my price? Do you or do you not?
It's up to you and where you are in your business.
That's true.
If you can make more money, why not?
Yep. I agree.
You're already doing the work.
Maybe test the waters on a couple properties.
And we do that.
get a feel for what they think, and if it goes well there, then maybe next bidding season, expand that out to the rest of your
I think it's
properties.
really important not to get caught up in, I've got to have this customer. I want this customer. If you need them more than they need you, you've already lost. Even if you win the property, you're not going to do well.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And everyone gets caught in that. Oh, I just got a call from this company.
I really want that.
That'd be
Man, I get a chance to do a target.
Look, dude.
Yeah.
Run away.
I don't know about that one, but
Yeah.
I mean, if there's some iconic facility in your town, and you're like, well, I want to be the guy who does it, then everyone knows I'll do it. Well, yeah, but everyone's going to be chasing it, and it's probably always going to go to the lowest bid.
And that contract probably, if it is truly an iconic landmark, in the contract, it probably specifies that you cannot advertise that you are the service provider for that property.
Oh, dang.
Oh, yeah.
They get you like that, huh?
Oh, dude. Yeah, big time. Yeah, that is in those contracts. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it's easy to go down that road and be desperate and needing the work, but man, I don't know how it is around the rest of the country, but it seems like I turn away more people than we actually bid.
Yeah, and you know what I think is really interesting about snow in particular is that with snow removal, I think that we use basically the same pricing metric for everything we bid. So when we bid, we have measuring metrics and performance metrics and things that are measurable costs that we use to establish the base, and then we add what margins we want to make on top of that, and boom, there's our price. So when we turn a bid in from one property to the next, for the most part, it's the same pricing metric that we're using. And what's really bizarre is some customers come back and say that our price is astronomically high and they can't even believe that we're even still in business. And other times we get folks that come back and say, you guys obviously, missed something. Your price is entirely too low. and I think that is probably pretty unique to our line of work, because there's so many folks that have had, their vendors are getting ridiculous, huge money. And when they get a bid that is maybe a little bit less inflated and still certainly profitable for the companies that's doing it, but it's not as crazy as what they're used to paying, they look at that as an inferior bid. And so they turn it down because they're used to paying more and they think that they're going to get bad service. And so I think that that's something that is unique to our line of work. I mean, I know, Brent, you've seen that before, right?
Yeah, and it's not every company, but the companies who really are in tune with what the service should be and what they expect will have a better handle on that.
Yeah.
You always have the companies that say, "Oh yeah, we're not, focused solely on the cost," and then they go with the lowest bid every time. Those will always be there, but
right.
Every now and then you got a company that really knows what they're doing and they'll almost take the low bid and the high bid and throw them out and work with the middle ones.
Yeah. Yep. And so something that we've done too is we try to establish before we even turn in a number, we try to get as much time as we can with that customer that says, hey, what are you trying to accomplish here? Because if you're just getting a bid on a piece of paper, we're probably not a good fit for you anyway. Yeah. But if you're really looking for a partner in your vendor, well, let's learn about your business. Let's learn about what you want, what you value, what is it that you're really buying here? And then once you get through that, then your potential customers aren't necessarily hiring you based on your cost, but on, who's the best fit for the property.
Yeah. And in some of our best customers, we've essentially won the business before numbers were even discussed.
Yep.
But you've got to have a customer that is willing to take the time to sit down with you and allow you to explain how you work and work through the process, and they will realize that you're also qualifying them. That, ask them what their challenges have been in the past and find out if you're going to have the same challenges, or if they're just unreasonable people and they ain't worth the effort. If everything seems, pretty good, then do your best on selling them on who you are and how you'll service it, and then provide them with numbers. Then they'll have an understanding of why your numbers are what they are.
Well, I think it depends on how your business is set up too. I mean, I think that if you have the ability to really focus in on your snow business, so your systems, your policies, your procedures, I mean, you've got your act together in terms of snow removal, I think you can do that. I think that a huge section of the market is comprised of contractors that do snow as an afterthought. So they're in the concrete business, or they're in the roofing business, or they're in the landscaping business, or they do something else for a living, and they do snow to keep busy in the winter and make a little extra money. Mm-hmm. I think that if that is the boat that you're in, I think that you probably don't have time to build, to really spend that time with the customer, because it takes forever to get a customer to spend the time with you. Takes a lot of effort, because they first they just want to bid. They just give me your numbers. And so, I think that there's a place for competing on numbers, in that, your business, your primary business is not snow. Snow's an afterthought, and you're going to go work for a national broker doing a target. I mean, by God, if that works for your business model, man, have at it. Absolutely. And you don't have the investments in software and in contracts and in, in developing your snow removal business. I think that that's a whole nother, ball of wax. And I think that that's exactly where you need to be in terms, in looking for a spot with a company, like a national vendor, or with somebody that's more price driven. So I guess where I'm going with that is that not everybody has the time to work with their customers like that. And so, don't think that you're doing something wrong if you just don't have time and you're doing targets. You've got 35 targets in Des Moines. Have at it. If that works for you, by God, that's awesome. Get on it. And I'm sorry, the one in Agne's kind of tough and drifts snow up against the front.
Wow.
Had to go up there and do that one time.
Oops.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of them right around Des Moines that got a lot of snow. The dude tried to do it all with liquids. It was a disaster. There's like 2 inches of solid ice on everything.
Nice.
It was bad.
Yeah, that sounds rough.
Yeah, so we got to go from St. Louis up and fix that.
Cool.
It's a good time.
Sounds like a cool trip.
Kinda. We had end dumps of salt show up on parking lots and belly dumps. Mobile depots. Yeah, it was something else.
Belly dumps of salt.
Oh, yeah.
They start slowly opening their belly as they go around the parking lot.
Ooh, that's a hell of an idea.
No.
Snail trail the whole thing.
Yeah, it was a good time. So, anyways, but yeah, no. So, yeah, so some food for thought on pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a little frustrating though when you're like, man, I really want this account, and you get that needle all, you get your pencil as sharp as you can be, and then you don't get it. It's like, damn it.
So it's probably most important to figure out your operating costs before establishing a bid, right?
Yeah, and figuring out operating costs is really a moving target too.
Yeah.
Because, your operating costs, okay. So you've got your truck, your plow, and your spreader. Mm-hmm. Well, your truck really isn't an operating cost for snow if you're in the landscaping business, for example, because you need that truck for landscaping.
Sure.
So that becomes a sunk cost that really shouldn't be considered a direct cost to snow.
Right.
But you're using it, so there's certainly a portion of it that is. So how do you break that down? Right? I mean, even your salt spreader. I mean, if you're using your salt spreader for top dressing or doing mulch or something like that, well, now you can help use that elsewhere as well. Mm-hmm. So the question becomes is how do you attribute a certain percentage of what equipment to that cost as a direct operating cost? Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my salt spreader for planting a field this year.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of guys that use them like doing a top dressing with not mulch but compost.
Yeah, I'm just trying to picture how you don't just leave ruts everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think you could do it when it's wet. Uh-oh. Can you believe it?
Well,
man, this 15-minute stuff is tough. Poof, it's gone.
Done. Over.
Do we want to talk about establishing operating costs on the next one?
You just said it's a moving target, right?
Yeah, that's what makes it fun.
Okay.
I don't know. All right.
Dandy.
So this is establishing pricing. Talking winter with Swinter. Mm-hmm. I'm Ken Bogeman, Zach Frame, Brent Reeder. Here he is. This is it. All right. Next one we're going to talk about is going to be how do you establish your base cost.
Yeah.
That's going to be a pretty good conversation. I think that'll be fun. Yep.
Heck
so, yeah. All right. Well, hey, if you have questions, comments, hit us up, podcast@swintergroup.com, because we are not on Twitter.
Yet.